Thank you, Mr. Chairman, also ranking member, and thanks for the panelists for being here today. Um, Honorable Johns, when you said three things that, kind of harken back to a previous career I had. You said that you had to balance modernization, maintaining the organization, and steward of taxpayer dollars. And that sounded like the organization I spent 22 years with, the United States Army, and I saw us go from a Jeep to a Humvee, armored personnel carriers to Bradleys, M60 tanks to M1 tanks, you name it. So we're talking about new systems integration, and one of the things that, of course, we looked at, do you have a new systems integration implementation plan with an execution timeline, with measures of effectiveness? One thing I am concerned about is that who is the singular belly button that's responsible for this, because that's part of unity of effort and unity of command. So can you kind of walk me through, what is the plan out there in your timeline so that you can execute this and we don't have these overruns? And what are the measures of effectiveness as you go through? I mean, do we have a phased plan of integration?
Yes, Congressman, thank you for the question. We do, indeed. Part of the GAO report addressed the issue of governance. There are two bodies who have been involved with the oversight for the LMAS program. We have an oversight body called the BTIC, the Business Technology Investment Council or Committee. And that oversight body has responsibility for technology improvements, technology upgrades, enterprise-wide. So they look across the SBA and manage new technology. Are we making the right investments? How is that moving? How does that fit within the enterprise architecture, and so on? And so when the decision to go down the road of LMAS incremental improvement projects, the BTIC approved that approach. But then we realized as an agency that we needed to have an oversight body that was singularly focused, because this was a project of such magnitude and cut across the entire operations of our agency. We wanted to make sure that we had an entity that was focused on LMAS IIP, and that led to the creation of the Executive Steering Council. So that's the explanation of why there are two bodies. There really is no confusion about that. They have distinct responsibilities, and there's significant operational overlap, because many of the individuals who serve on the BTIC are also part of the Executive Steering Committee Council. The CIO, the head of our Office of Cap Access, for example, the CFO. Those are examples of individuals who serve on both bodies.
But who's the one person in charge?
Well, I chair the ESC.
Okay. So everyone reports back to you?
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, you asked about a plan and a timeline. We have a plan. The timeline is that we've committed to completing these incremental improvement projects by the end of fiscal year 13. We have had some slippage of due dates within that process. That is not unusual for a project of this magnitude, and yet we are we are continuing with making progress toward our commitment to have these 7 projects done by the end of fiscal year 13. And if I may say a word about this issue of cost overruns. As Mr. Powner indicated in his testimony, GAO audit has found that the SBA can do a better job in terms of how it presents information and how that information is labeled. And because we have recognized there's been some confusion about how data has been used to draw certain analyses in the past. The fact of the matter is we were on a path to spend $156 million. The path that we're on currently is $39 million and represents a savings of $117 million to the taxpayer. In fact, since our IIP approach was approved, we've actually had a $4 million reduction from the baseline because our budget was cut. So we are very cognizant of our responsibility to report back to this body and to the public at large that we are using this money as effectively as possible, maintaining the schedule for modernization, and running an agency that gets capital in the hands of small businesses.
What's your percentage measure of effectiveness on this implementation plan? 0 to 100%. Where would you say you are?
Congressman, I can't give you a number in that regard. What I can say is that we have completed the first project under the IIP. We've made substantial progress on most of the other projects. We have 3 additional projects that are a bit more downstream where we're still in the planning phase and haven't yet awarded a contract, but we are meeting on a regular basis, and the team assures me that we are on pace to meet the 2013 implementation.
Let me just say this. If I was standing before a general and I could not tell him what the measure of effectiveness percentage was where we were in the project, I would be relieved of command. I'd be fired. So please, I would say if you're having these council meetings, the first question you should ask, what's our measure of effectiveness? Mr. Pounder, you have anything you want to add? And then I'll yield back.